Let me first say that we are sorry for being so late. We were tied into Midtown with traffic. But I think that it is a testimony to this family that they said they did not want to go back without thanking the people around this country that have poured out in support and standing for justice in this matter. I spent the entire day with them, and the burden that they bear is a burden that too many families have had to bear. An unarmed black man that's life is taken, 4 children left, a mother and a father who would expect their children to bury them, siblings, his twin sister, who you will hear from, Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. His father, an established, respected gospel singer. We spoke this morning with Hezekiah Walker and other gospel greats. Bishop Albert Jameson, the national president and CEO of Gospel Workshop of America, who is father, Reverend Crutcher, who is a minister himself. Reverend Crutcher, who is a minister himself. Bishop Jameson said to Reverend Crutcher, I'll drop everything I'm doing. He's standing here to be with him. This is a respected family. When Mrs. Clinton came to Tulsa, it was the father, Reverend Crutcher, that was the one that welcomed and did the opening music. Clearly, this is an outrage. Clearly, it is one of many. But the difference on this one is that this is not going to be easily flipped on the victim. To try and come now with some bogus justification to say that he had PCP. Well, let's look at the video.
Absolutely.
We saw his hands up.
Absolutely.
We didn't see what was in a car.
No.
And it has nothing to do with the actions taken.
Right.
Because the officers couldn't see what was in a car.
Absolutely.
His hands was up as his father has instructed young black men in Tulsa to do.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The window was up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The video shows clearly what happened. We demand immediate justice. There ought to be an immediate trial and an immediate trying of the evidence, and stop the judicial stalling, because justice delayed is justice denied. Let a jury hear the facts.
Yes.
But don't try and smear this young man in death as you smeared his blood in that highway.
Amen. Yes.
And don't break the hearts of this family and their children any further when you're telling us what we're looking at is not what we see.
Absolutely.
The other policeman, one saying, well, I would have shot. Well, he hadn't even drawn his gun. So now they're going to try and circle the wagons to defend an officer.
Yeah.
Well, what they've done is circled the nation. Black and white and Latino and Asians to stand with this family and demand justice. On Tuesday, we will be in Tulsa. We are calling for a National Day of Justice and Prayer. There will be a major rally. I will attend, and others will come to Tulsa to join this family at their invitation. We will conduct ourselves, let me be real clear, in a way that exalts the name and memory and legacy of Terence. Nobody is coming to do anything that would be out of the spirit that this family has stood up with.
Amen.
So people talking about are they going to rouse something up? No, the riling up was done on the highway to Terence.
Yes. Yes.
We come to bring justice down.
Yes.
and to work with people of all races that respect this family. Republicans, Democrats, everybody respect this family. They were getting all kinds of texts and messages while I was sitting there with the father in the car, and then as we sat and had breakfast. I also hope that on Monday night, I'm calling for both Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump in the debate to talk about what they're going to do about the continual abuse in our community. What are you going to do about police reform? If you're going to be the next president, this president has put a commission out, this president has an attorney general. What will you do? And how will you deal with this issue that is seemingly so prevalent in our country and society? Any debate that does not discuss this issue is a bogus debate. This is a national crisis, and it must be addressed. Before hearing from the attorneys, and we're going to hear from both attorneys, I think we should hear first from the family. An outstanding young lady whose twin brother was killed. As she sat this morning doing an interview, even a reporter broke down, something I had not witnessed. The promise is now on her and her siblings to keep going.
Yes.
May we hear from Dr. Tiffany Crutcher.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank New York, Harlem, for the outpouring of love and support. I hear that you all are going to host a rally here in the next few days, this coming Saturday. We just want you all to know that we are truly, truly humbled, and we appreciate you all greatly. We really do. We've gotten support from all around the world, people from different walks of life, different cultures, different backgrounds, different races, and they want justice just as we do. We're heartbroken. We're experiencing a whirlwind of emotions right now: confusion, hurt, pain, anger. And on the way over here, we just spoke with some of the college professors at Tulsa Community College, where my brother was starting school on that Friday. And they wanted to call, and they wanted for us to hear their story. They were the last to actually interact with my brother, and it got really emotional. Those were the last people to interact with my brother, and they said the conversation was pleasant. They helped him find his class. He was logging into a computer. They said he was, doing well and excited about starting school. They said they watched him look for his class and, walk around campus and come to find out they had canceled the class. And they made jokes about it. And, for now, we have the police department, the police chief, the mayor. They promised me, they sat down and looked me in my eye and said, we would not and we won't vilify your brother, humiliate your family. And now what we're seeing today is the opposite. You wonder why our trust is not there. You wonder why the trust isn't there. And regardless of what was found, we know, this is what we know. We know that there was no gun in the car. We know he was unarmed. We know he was moving slow. We knew he didn't commit a crime like the New York bomber did, who's still alive. We know all of those things, but my brother is dead. And to hear the helicopter police say he looks like a bad dude, people who are paid to protect and serve us. You didn't know my brother. You didn't know if he needed help. You didn't even stop to see you immediately because you thought he looked like a bad dude. told him to comply. Comply for what? What did he do to comply? Why did he need to put his hands up? What did he do? What did he do? And so now he's dead, and last thing, he laid there after he got shot. Nobody went to see. Our servants, our police officers who are supposed to protect and serve, they shot him. He laid there for 2 minutes, at least, bleeding. Nobody checked on him to see if he had a pulse. Nobody went to go run and see if they could preserve his life. They said that he died later at the hospital. No, he died on the scene. That's why we want justice. And we're demanding that the leaders and the district attorney press charges immediately. And we will continue to put pressure on them until they do. That's what we want. And when we do that, guess what? We'll get our peace. We'll get our peace. And I just celebrated a birthday with my twin, August 16th, and he was excited about the next 40. We're really strong accountability partners. I'm always on him. He's always on me. But we talked about the next few years. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to become better? You know, what are we going to do big before we die? We talked about what we want to do for our parents. And he said, this is what I know. I got a text message, my very last text message from my twin. He said, I'm going to show you all, and God is going to get the glory out of my life, and I'm going to make you all proud. And he told me he loved me. But because of a senseless error in judgment, he won't get that chance. He won't get that chance. And so we're asking and we're pleading, we're demanding that justice be served. But we just want to thank everybody who's looking and watching on behalf of my parents, his beautiful children who are hurting really, really bad. We just want to say that we thank each and every one of you, everybody. And just keep the prayers coming because we need them. And, you know, again, we were excited about the peaceful protests. That's how we flow. That's our family. We flow in love. We flow in peace. We're a faith-based family, and we want to keep it that way. But just know that our voices will be heard, and we're going to keep this going for a mighty long time. Not just for my brother, but for the people that came behind us. And so the chain breaks here. The chain breaks here. Thank you so much.
On yesterday, Reverend Joey Crutcher did my radio show and said that he wanted justice and he wanted all of our involvement. He's here as the father of this victim with his wife and is going to speak at this time.
I think my daughter so eloquently expressed all of our sentiments. But I just want to say this one thing. On that Friday night, I was conducting a musical workshop at the Antioch Baptist Church. I just came back from Birmingham maybe about a month ago from the Gospel Music Workshop of America. And we go up there every year and network with some of the greatest gospel musicians of all times, all over the country. And we had all of that new music that we was teaching this particular choir. And my sisters came into the church as I was completing the last song. And I said, what are they doing over here? And they came up and I said, what's wrong? They say the police killed Terence. And I lost and I fell out the front. What's going on? What's wrong with Joe? And they told us we lost it. And that was one of Terence's passions. Was a gospel music workshop of America. Dad, where we going this year? I said, we're going to Birmingham this year. He loved doing that. That's why he enrolled in TCC to get his degree in music because he wanted to be more professional and present that music to the community. That's what we've done in Tulsa community. We've given our lives to gospel music, inspiring all of the churches there. And my son will not be able to do that anymore. His 4 children are crying. They're calling at our dad. They call me Jojo. When are you coming back home? What are you doing? His little baby. He started noticing that his daddy wasn't there. Where's my dad? say your daddy's in heaven. Well, he loves going to church and hear that word heaven all the time. Well, is he coming back today, tomorrow? What can I tell him? What can I tell him? My son had his hands raised up, doing just what I taught him to do, like I taught a lot of the young African Americans in our community, because I work with them. What do you do when you get stopped by the police? I say, put your hands up. Put them up so they can see them, so they can know that you don't have a gun. And that's what he was doing. I said, put your hands on the car. He was walking to the car, and they shot him down like he was a dog. Every time I see that video, I start crying. I can't look at it anymore. Can't look at it anymore.
One of the reasons it was so important that Reverend Jameson and Gospel Music Workshop be here is that we don't want young people around this country to hear and have the false premise that what happened on that road was the death of some PCP user. It was the death of a gospel artist who was engaged in going to college to perfect his art. And we're tired of people killing and then smearing the victims that they killed. Let us hear from Attorney Ben Crump first, who has been to this same House of Justice with Trayvon Martin's case and Eric Garner's case and on and on. This is the place we come to launch these national moves. And this is where we launched this national call today. Attorney Benjamin Crump.
Thank you, Reverend Al, and it's with a heavy heart that I'm here today with my co-counsel, a great attorney based in Oklahoma, Demario Solomon Simmons, who you will hear from as we represent the family of Terence Crutcher. Dr. King said to Reverend Crutcher and Ms. Crutcher, Dr. King, Reverend Al, said that peace is not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. And today in America, we all are saying, well, we just want everybody to calm down and let's just don't protest, and we just want everything to be quiet. The city leaders want everybody to just let it just be swept under the rug. But the problem with that, as we know too well, Reverend Al, is if we don't stand up for our children, nobody else going to stand up for our children. And so, whether it's in Tulsa, whether it's in Ferguson, in Staten Island, Cleveland, Charlotte, wherever, people are standing up because they have tension inside their soul. Nobody in America can watch that video with an open heart and watch him get gunned down when he got his hands up. And that's so telling. He has his hands up, and you know, in Ferguson, the witnesses said he had his hands up, but now here in Tulsa, we have the hands up with video. And with video. And that is a crucial thing because we see it, DeMario. We see it. He's holding his hands up high like his father instructed him to do. And there is no articulable reason, Reverend Al, when you watch that video, there is no articulable justification. She wasn't an intimate threat of harm. There was no criminal act that had been acted by Terence Crutcher. He was simply broke down and needed a hand, just like Jonathan Farrell was broke down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the police shot and killed him. And Palm Beach, Florida, as you know, Reverend Al, Corey Jones, the church drummer who was broke down off of I-95, who needed a helping hand, and the police shot and killed him. And now, Tiffany, we come to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where her brother was coming from class and was having issues with his car and needed a helping hand, but but yet he got a bullet to his lungs. And this is a good family. I mean, this is a good family. As we found out, Reverend Crutcher, Reverend Al, was one of the first people to greet Secretary Clinton when she visited Tulsa, Oklahoma. His group performed for him. He's an icon in the community. Their family is a staple in that community. And Terence was a good guy. You're going to hear from these professors. We just talked to one of his professors who talked to him last about how engaging he was, about how pleasant he was. Terence Crutcher was going to try to better his life. He was going to school. Tiffany got a text from his last semester sociology professor who talked about how he never missed class, how he always talked about his 4 children, how he always tried to talk about his gospel music, and on his last assignment, he wrote about Christianity and having faith and redeeming values in all of us, no matter what mistakes we've made in the past, that God has a plan for us all. And so, when they try to demonize him, what they're really trying to do is to justify not protecting and serving us, but when they see us on the street, instead of giving us the consideration that all American citizens deserve, they see big bad dudes. I don't know what it is about these dynamics, these people of color, that continue to have these constant killings. Reverend L, I was talking to Dr. Steve Perry, and he was saying his class, these young black men that he teaches in New York, they were watching the Terence Crutcher video, and we were saying, what do we tell our children about the constant killings of unarmed people of color and nobody being held accountable? What do we tell our children? This is the question. Because if we don't come up with the response, we're going to continue to see it happen over and over again. And Tulsa and the leadership in Tulsa can set the example of how not only we present the presence of justice to heal this family, heal their community, but in some ways, in many ways, heal all America. And so I conclude where I started from. It is the presence of justice. Reverend Al, it is not the absence of tension, because as long as we watch that video, we're not only going to have tension in our societies, but we're going to have tension in our hearts. It is very difficult to watch that video. Very difficult. And so it really is about the solution being the presence of justice, full justice. Justice that will help prevent and deter this conduct in the future, that will make his children whole. And we pray that the leadership don't put their family through protracted litigation to take care of these children. And lastly, and Attorney Solomon Simmons is going to talk about this, you know, you need the prosecutor to do their job.
Absolutely.
We don't want any more, any less, just simple justice. We're not asking for anything extraordinary. If Terence would have been the person who did what we saw in that video, Reverend Al, it wouldn't be a long investigation. We got the video. What else we going to investigate?
That's right.
And so we're asking for the presence of justice to heal this family, heal this community. And we're so grateful that people in New York care about what happens hundreds of miles away in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, yes.
You don't know how that affects his family. They couldn't believe that people in New York were rallying for their brother. And so thank you all. You're going to hear from Attorney Demario Solomon Simmons, a great lawyer in Oklahoma who has known this family since he was a little boy. Attorney Solomon Simmons.
Reverend Al, I just first want to say we appreciate you so much for all that you do all around this nation for our communities. And as a representative of the family, we're so excited that you will reach out and open up your platform to talk about the great Crutcher family. I have known this family my entire life, and I've known them to be loving, open, spiritual, model citizens. And so it pains me to have to stand here in this hour. But I believe God has a plan to use this family, to use this message, to use Terence for the glory and to stop this epidemic of the killing of unarmed black and brown people throughout this nation. When we talk about justice, we want full justice. And full justice means that, number one, those who are responsible, all those that are responsible, must be held accountable. Not just the shooter, but those who allowed Terence to lay there for 2 minutes in his own blood without any aid. Those who gave reports that Terence was acting belligerent when the video clearly shows he was not. Those who said Terence was not complying when the video clearly shows that he was. Those who said Clarence reached into the open window when the video clearly shows that the window was closed. But regardless of all those things that they're trying to say about Terence, the great thing about video, it has no political affiliation. It has no ulterior motive. It has no point of view that it's trying to prove. It is, as my grandma would say, it is what it is. It's the video. And you can believe your own eyes by watching that Terence did not have a weapon. Terence did not move quickly. He was not the officers were not in imminent danger of Terence. And when Ben talks about full justice, once you have that accountability and charges and vigorous prosecution, he said we don't want this family to suffer prolonged litigation. That's especially important for this family because this family has already suffered. In 2008, they lost their grandson on mistaken identity of a gang shooter. As he was coming from church, 4 of their grandchildren coming from church on a Sunday afternoon were gunned down by a gang member who had mistaken identity. They have suffered already. 2 years ago, they lost Joey Crutcher Jr., Tiffany's oldest brother, to cancer. They have suffered already. Shortly thereafter, they lost Dr. Crutcher's sister. They have suffered enough already. So we want the city leadership to do the right thing, to take care of these children. We want immediate implementation of body cameras, immediately. We want immediate and continuous mandatory implicit bias training for the officers in Tulsa, and that should be the officers all around this nation. As we stand here in New York, the site of Eric Garner.
Yes.
If we talk about all the cases that we can run down, Sean Bell, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All of them, that's right.
As Reverend Howell said earlier, we're not fighting hashtags. We're fighting institutions and organizations, and we must be organized and institutionalized and be here to be sustained for the marathon and not the sprint. Thank you.
Saturday, we will rally in New York as the family prepares to lay to rest this young man that should never have been taken from them. Then Tuesday, we will head nationwide to Tulsa for a national rally that the family will preside. I and others will speak. Before leaving, I would like the family to stand and Bishop Jameson to lead us in prayer for the family. Let's all take hands, because this is a religious family. Reverend David Wright, the son of Reverend Timothy Wright, is with us, Reverend, over here too. Yeah. Timothy Wright, one of the stalwarts of gospel. Pastor Hendrickson is with us. Reverend Kevin McCall of our staff here at National Action Network, and Stephen Marshall. Attorney Michael Hardy is in the corner, our Executive Vice President, we will commit all of the resources and strength we can from our 102 chapters around the country. I talked with Mark Morial of the National Urban League in the car, who pledges the full support and will be joining us and other civil rights leaders in Tulsa on Tuesday. The story should have been that a car broke down, an SUV broke down on the road in Tulsa. What has happened is the justice system broke down again, this time on a road in Tulsa. We come to Tulsa as repairmen, not to fix the car, but to fix a broken system that keeps breaking down. Reverend Jameson, Bishop, will you lead us in prayer?
Habakkuk the prophet says, how long shall we cry, you will not answer? How long shall we go through and you don't be with us? We feel like Israel. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? We're in strange times and strange condition. And so, Father, we ask you now to touch this family. Strengthen the mom, the dad, the sister, his children. Father, you're the God of all comfort. So comfort them now. Strengthen them now. We cancel every assignment of the devil, and we decree and we declare wholeness for this family. You told us, let not your heart be troubled. So now, God, even in the midst of troubled times, you will condition us. So be with us throughout this whole day, and build a fence around them and hedge them in. This is our prayer now, God. And God, we turn it over to you now, for you can see all things. And so, Father, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. So we know you won't leave us now. So be with us. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you for your patience.